Welcome to Jerry Britton's PRR Middle Division and HO Scale. I'm sharing with you one of the challenges I have, which is constructing the Granville Bridge west of Lewistown, which in actual scale is over 8 feet long. The challenge was that there are 3 crossovers for Lewis interlocking on the bridge deck itself. If you look, the bridge deck is very, very narrow. There's a 1/2 inch of homobed on top, and I conjured up a solution using the tortoise remote mounts. The first thing I had to do was narrow the spacing of the tracks. I'm using a 2-inch spacing, so I had to cut back the diverging rails on both sides. I got an insulator in there. The other challenge is that once you do that, you've got a very weak joint here, so I opted to CA the turnouts to a very thin piece of styrene. I then went ahead and soldered the frog feeds to that so that they were done ahead of time. And the challenge was in the actual throw. The tortoise remote mount is supposed to allow you to put the tortoise machine up to 18 inches away from the actual turnout throw bar, and by design a spring comes back on top of the turnout for about a 1/2 inch and then goes down through the plywood underframe to the tortoise down remote mount down below through a brass tube that's provided. The problem is to create the pivot point going through the plywood. It's nice and solid, but when you take away the plywood, as I've done, the throw rod just wobbles back and forth. You can't get anything. So what I actually did is I took this piece here, which the tortoise moves remotely, and I used that as a direct drive. In other words, I took a piece of wire straight through into that bar, and then the tortoise remote mount uses piano wire through a plastic tube. So this piece is glued onto the bottom of the plastic that houses the turnouts and has the piano wire and the tube thread on it. The other advantage to having these mounted on the plastic is that if I don't allow for maintenance, I sure as heck am going to need it. If I do allow for maintenance, maybe I won't need it. But anyway, this will allow me to later remove the whole crossover as one piece. So we go down here to my first installment. I've got this 1/2 inch homobed, and I've cut out canals for where the actual remote throws go. This is where the piano wire and the tube would go, and these happen to be canals to carry the feeds for the frog power. Here is my first installed set. You can see the piano wire going through that canal, the feeds for the frogs, and then the piano wire escapes at that end at the other end. So I've put this loosely into place and connected the other ends. So when you go down underneath the layout, the piano wire goes into a special mount on the tortoise and gives it about a 1/2 inch of play. Now I contacted Circuitron because I had to go longer than the 18 inches that they provide. They were concerned that there might be too much movement within the plastic tube at some unknown distance, that it would not be effective. So they sold me some longer tube and piano wire at a very reasonable price. So I decided to experiment with it, and I just installed my first one, hooked it up, very first try, got the results that I wanted. Works beautifully. Still have my slow motion. held in place, true to being a tortoise. And if you look, there is only about 3/4 of an inch of clearance there. And that's run by a tortoise. 1 down, 3 to go on the bridge deck. The crossovers east of the bridge are already in place. I've got about 3 more feet to go and the main line will be done.